It's all come down to this. For my last of these how long does it take videos, I'm going to find out how long it takes to earn your first badge in every single Pokemon game. We all remember the first time facing Brock with our Charmander and crapping our pants. Or how about the worst gym leader ever, Falkner, whose first Pokemon is Pidgey under level 10, making us feel overpowered. Whoever comes to mind when I say first gym leader, they all hold a special place in our hearts as the first true obstacle we overcame. And now I'm going to try and exploit those nostalgic memories for profit, just like literally every company on the planet. Admittedly though, finding out how long it takes to get your first gym badge is less scientific than the others. For the games where that gym leader focuses on rock types, the fire starter is at a supreme disadvantage, forcing me to grind longer than normal. And where my starter has a type advantage, I can pretty much just comb beeline it straight to them. Still, the results ended up being quite interesting, and I'm not just saying that so you watch the whole thing. We start with the game that takes the longest to earn your first gym badge, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. As we all remember, maybe not fondly, Alola did away with the whole badges thing. I was going to make a joke where I fully play through both games until the credits roll, but I think it's more smarter to choose the first noteworthy battle with a permanent reward. For Suns and Moons, that's either Totem Gumshoes or Totem Raticate, who reward a Z-Crystal. And let me tell you, things are much worse than you remember. While Ultra Sun and Moon change things up compared to the originals, they still follow the same general formula. Whereas the Sun version see you battling Gumshoes for Normalium Z, Moon changes it to Alolan Raticate. So for the sake of variety, I did this run on Ultra Moon. We know from past experience that the Ultras make getting your starter much quicker. But what about defeating your first totem? Well, believe it or not, these versions are even more bloated than the originals. It took 37 minutes to fight How a second time, which was an increase of 5 minutes. Same with obtaining the Rotom Dex and experience share at the trainer school. I was forced to take more pictures of Pikachu after 75 minutes, and even with Game Freak bumping the events up a bit, it still took 80 minutes to dispatch Team Skull and Ilima. Then at the freaking 1 hour and 40 minute mark, instead of being escorted to a berry patch, a Crabrawler threatens to punch me in the balls if I don't go to the hotel. That's when a creepy old man shows me a secret path and I have to go to the beach and deal with Team Skull again. Finally, the exact same trial as the originals begins at 1 hour and 50 minutes. And at a mind-boggling 2 hours and 4 minutes, I had defeated Totem Raticate and cancelled the evolution on Rowlet to really stunt on them. You know what, I take back any positive things I said about Ultra Sun and Moon in the past. 2 hours is more than double what it should be to get your first reward. And my Arceus, I never want to do that again. We continue with the game that takes the longest to earn your first real gym badge, Scarlet and Violet. Having not seen gameplay in action for a little bit and hearing that Nintendo updated it, I was expecting the performance to be, well, not this bad. Embarrassing frame rate aside, the graphics are still atrocious. The grass is literally just a green paste slathered on the screen. And the shadows have a mind of their own. After being forced to walk behind Koraidon, who doesn't adjust its speed according to you, and beating an emotionally damaged Arven, I finally arrived in Mesagoza once the timer hit 52 minutes. Or I would have had Nemona not nagged me into another battle. Even with a terastallization, she was vanquished without issue. At this point, I was wondering if I'd reach that first gym before 2 hours. When I was forced to battle Team Star and learn how to terastallize as the clock struck 1 hour, my worries deepened. Then it was off to a classroom filled with students moving in slow motion, followed by a quick jaunt around the school where Nemona showed me the locations of my future victims. That's still not the start of your journey though, because Arven had to give his campaign spiel, same with the mysterious Cassiopeia. And even Clavel talked my bun eerie off, introducing me to Professor Sada in the process. Finally, 85 minutes in, the wall reins were off and I was able to head towards Cortondo, where the gym leader specializes in bug types, making Sprigatito a terrible choice. Rushing to the gym to try to beat that 2 hour mark didn't help matters either because I was quite underleveled. Still, with a full team of only Paldea Pokemon, I was guaranteed to win, right? I entered the office building, and in order to get the opportunity to prove myself as a gym challenger, I had to roll an olive. There were some trainers along the way, but the fact that I just said those words made my soul hurt. I also felt a bit like Gandalf in the Mines of Moria because I had no memory of this place despite beating Violet when it first came out. After all that nonsense, I reached Katie, the gym leader. Even though Sprigatito was more nimble than her Pokemon, the bug weakness was too much and she fell to Tarantula. That meant I'd need a little luck to win. Well, my Tarantula got KO'd by hers, and Lechonk was cooked. Finally, because Game Freak had to show off Terastallization, the bug gym leader's last Pokemon is a Teddiursa. It Terastallized and for some reason used Fury Swipes, which missed. Wooper resisting Fury Cutter allowed it to survive, and Poison Point even activated at the last possible second. I Terastallized Palmy, launched Thundershock, and a few minutes shy of 2 hours the badge was mine. And holy Relor was it a long process. To be honest, I thought the trek to Turffield was a lot faster. You can easily beat Sword and Shield in under 10 hours, but a lot of that quickness happens later. In the beginning, they aren't afraid to waste your time with hop interruptions and talking about things everyone who's ever played a Pokemon game before knows intimately. Well, your second battle with Hop takes place 37 minutes in, and you don't reach the wild area until 48 minutes. That's all with me not talking to anybody because I have social anxiety. It's not a straight shot to Turffield either. You have to go to Motostoke for the opening ceremony, then battle Hop a third time after an hour and 13 minutes, then head to Galar Mine to face Bidet before finally reaching Turffield after 1 hour and 40 minutes. And getting to the gym mission in under 2 hours is quite a feat because I skipped as many trainers and wild Pokemon as I could along the way. Anyway, if you couldn't tell, Scorbunny evolved on the way to Milo, a rarity for my starter in these videos thanks to the prolonged journey. Obviously, since I had Raboot in my party, defeating Milo's 2 Pokemon was as simple as 4 attacks, 2 Flame Charge plus 2 Max Flare. And after 1 hour and 48 minutes, the Grass Badge was in my possession. Oh wait, I do have to do that again. 32 minutes into Sun and Moon, I was eyeing down my second Alolan Hop battle. Then at the 43-minute mark, I unfortunately obtained the annoying Rotom Dex who is attracted to Ilima. That's also around when you receive the experience share from Professor My Body is Ready Kukui, who also says, "Yeah, buddy," like he just came from the Jersey Shore. Before the first hour was up, I beat the trainer school. Even with that, I still wasn't close to the trial. I made it to Hau'oli City after an hour, Hop revealed his foot fetish, I was forced to take some photos of a Pikachu, and Team Skull started causing a ruckus. Don't worry, the trial still hadn't happened by the 1 hour 23-minute mark. In fact, it's more Team Skull Tauros crap at the berry patch. Finally, after 90 minutes, Ilima's trial begins. Naturally, Team Skull shows up again to waste more time. After dispatching them, Totem Gumshoes comes down and uses Mega Slowdown on your 3DS. The damn thing even has a berry to cure poison, but no matter. 1 hour and 46 minutes into Sun and Moon, I defeated my first Totem and claimed the Normalium Z. For those wondering, I won't be covering Legends Arceus. The rest of the way is solely reserved for traditional Pokemon games because I couldn't decide where something comparable to a badge happened in Hisui. As you probably could have guessed based on how long it took to face Barry, Diamond and Pearl are up next. Remember how I chose Chimchar forgetting who the gym leader was? Yeah, that was dumb. Because of course it's Rourke, a Rock-type user. No matter, I had a plan if I couldn't get Chimchar to level 16 in Monferno. It involved using TM Hidden Power and hoping Chimchar learned either a Grass or Water one, plus relying on 4 Shinx to intimidate Cranidos and Zubat to confuse it. Well, nearly everything went out the window early. Turns out, Chimchar evolves at level 14, not 16. And Monferno learned Mach Punch, which is great, meaning any worries about Cranidos outspeeding me were gone like a cottony in a windstorm. As for the battle, Geodude set up Stealth Rock, falling quickly to my 2-punch Mon. Onix was next. Between a couple of Screech and a heal, it took a 4-punch Monferno to secure the win. With Monferno's defense so low, I switched into Zubat hoping for a confuse. Well, Cranidos one-shot it. And while I was able to intimidate with Shinx, it was rough going. That's when something crazy happened. I sent out Badoo, and unbeknownst to me, it had the Poison Point ability. One fursuit later, and Cranidos was poisoned. Monferno cleaned it up with 1 punch, getting me the badge in a wacky 1 hour and 11 minutes. To my surprise, even with the improvements to Platinum over the originals, it still takes more than an hour to get your first badge. On my way to battle Tanner Rourke, I obviously battled several trainers and wild Pokemon. For a move with 95% accuracy, Tackle missed about half the time. And the only thing that happened more than Tackle misses were critical hits. Anyway, after running into a guy who was a real looker, I was forced to find some clowns so I could fetch a Poketch. Right after, Barry challenged me to our second battle. He'd learned a lot, like how Chimchar's type advantage over Turtwig means nothing and you should use Leer 4 times in a row. I reached Oreburgh in 52 minutes and was done with the mine just shy of an hour, challenging Rourke a couple minutes later. It only took 3 Razor Leafs from Turtwig, and in 1 hour and 3 minutes, the Coal Badge was mine, all mine. For the final Pokemon games to take over an hour to obtain your first badge, we stay in Sinnoh with Brilliant Diamond and Shine Pearl. Before I get to Rourke, I'd just like to point out that it took me 42 minutes before I encountered a wild Pokemon that wasn't Starly or Bidoof, which is kinda pathetic. And it was an Abra that used Teleport to really troll me. This time around, I made it to the Oreburgh gym in 56 minutes, destroyed a couple of kids, and squared off against Rourke. Geodude went down easily, Onix used Stealth Rock, then survived a Water Gun from my Piplup and got potioned, which did nothing except waste my time. For Cranidos, I knew it was strong. I didn't realize how strong. It launched a headbutt, taking half my health. No matter, right? Well, it flinched me too. Was I going to have to re-challenge Rourke? Nope, Piplup survived the next headbutt, then one-shot Cranidos with Water Gun, securing the Coal Badge after exactly 1 hour of playtime and far too many characters who can only walk in 2 dimensions. In my previous video about the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, May provided quite the challenge, beating me off twice. This time around, I came prepared with a level 7 Mudkip and absolutely destroyed her. Turns out, when May doesn't get critical hits, she's fairly easy. At the 26-minute mark, I met my dad as well as Wally, who seems like a weakling that will never amount to anything. Then at 32 minutes, I entered Petalburg Woods, cooled off Team Magma, and got the optional experience share. After a surprising amount of trainer battles, I reached Rustboro in 47 minutes and destroyed 4 Geodude in a row because no other Rock-type Pokemon exist. With a level 15 Mudkip, I challenged Roxanne and would have won much quicker if not for Geodude getting sturdy. Nose Pass was nothing, using Tackle with its first attack, and after 55 minutes I'd obtained the Stone Badge. As soon as my HeartGold and SoulSilver adventure began in earnest, the wild encounter rate skyrocketed, and so did the critical hit rate. It was a bit of a slog, but I got to the gym in 40 minutes. Unfortunately, I had to do the Sprout Tower side quest first, which is a massive waste of time as most trainers just have level 3 Bellsprout. Cyndaquil made short work of them and even evolved into Peter Quilava along the way. After 51 minutes, I was ready to challenge Falkner's gym, where the remakes changed things up a little bit. Instead of a level 7 Pidgey and level 9 Pidgeotto, Mother Falkner's Pokemon are levels 9 and 13. Even with this buff, it was far too easy. A few Embers and one quick attack later, the Zephyr Badge was mine, all in 54 minutes. One thing about the original Gen 5 games is that they don't take it easy on you. The first gym leader changes depending on which starter you choose, and it exploits your weakness. Since I wanted to face Silent, a fellow feat connoisseur, I chose Oshawott, which meant Pansage. Before all that though, Team Plasma appeared at the 20-minute mark spouting gibberish about Pokemon liberation, then N challenged me to a battle. Since there weren't any Ferris wheels nearby, he couldn't get it up and lost. Afterwards, Bianca ambushed me for another battle, and Oshawott learned that he enjoys water sports. Striaton City was just a few steps away, and inside the trainer school was Charon. Unlike the other games where Tackle has 50% accuracy and terrible power, here it's 100% accuracy and 50 power, meaning it's great in the early going. Charon was another win, and I was ready to enter the gym. While I was light years away from reliably beating Silent, I challenged him anyways. After he used Work Up 6 times in a row with Pansage, I went into Oshawott and got Osha one-shot, whiting out. That meant the Dream Yard. Game Freak probably realized late in development that the first gym is way too tough, so they give you a cheat code in the form of a free level 10 monkey who hits the gym monkey for weakness. The rematch happened at the 50-minute mark. Silent used Work Up a couple times again, leaving an opening, but Oshawott couldn't get it done. 2 Incinerate later from Pansear though, and the Trio Badge was obtained after 53 total minutes. Fittingly, the sequels are up next. However, Black 2 and White 2 changed the gyms up quite a bit. Since it takes place 2 years after the originals, gone are the 3 brothers, which I think is a Mark Wahlberg movie. Now it's Charon up first, who specializes in normal-type Pokemon. He's actually in Aspertia City, the starting town, so you have to go forward, meet Alder, and visit Flocktasy Ranch, where you'll find Pokemon from other regions. Hugh also challenges you to battle number 2. And believe it or not, I soloed his Oshawott with a level 2 Patrat because it kept using Tail Whip even when my defense couldn't go any lower. On the way back, Alder asked me to beat up some children, and in 42 minutes I was back where I started. Since Charon's team sucks, it was far too easy. And despite launching 40 plus Embers with Tepig along the way, I only got my first burn at the tail end of this battle. Before you can challenge the first gym in Hoenn, you have to help the snivelly little Pipsqueak catch a Pokemon. And by help, I mean stand there, not saying anything or blinking while Wally does everything himself. Because I battled far too many wild Pokemon, I reached the Rustboro gym a little later than anticipated. Except it's slightly different in Emerald compared to the originals. Not the part where everyone has a Geodude, that's the same. No, you can actually do a double battle here. My level 4 Wingull was goated, but Torchic was just a sliver of XP away from level 16 and evolving. That prompted me to leave, then destroy a helpless Nincada to level up Torchic, who learned Pact, which is useless against Roxanne. Thankfully, it also evolved into Combustion and learned Double Kick. I do kind of wish I'd fought Roxanne with Torchic though, because Double Kick made things way too easy. All she did was use 1 Rock Tomb and a couple of potions before losing miserably after 47 minutes and 45 seconds. Also, why is the first gym leader always so uptight about losing? The rules state you have to give me a badge? Oh, I'm sorry, how inconvenient for you, gym leader. Along the way to Rustboro and Ruby and Sapphire, I suffered through a trainer with 6 Wurmple and another guy with 3 Magikarp, all while trying to dodge poison and paralysis. I arrived in 44 minutes and absorbed the gym trainer's Geodude in 1 hit each. Right before reaching Roxanne, Treecko evolved into Grovyle, which was natural, not forced, like what I did to Torchic. Roxanne's Geodude also fell to a single Absorb. But then we have Nose Pass. Absorb barely did anything, and she hit me with a Rock Tomb that did 30 freaking damage, then followed it up with 2 potions. Luckily, Rock Tomb's accuracy sucks, missing 60% of the time. From there, it was a simple matter of using Absorb 12 times to secure my first Hoenn Gym Badge after 47 minutes, putting Ruby and Sapphire in line with Emerald. Brock's easy if you choose Bulbasaur or Squirtle as your starter. Charmander and Pikachu, not so much. which is why I spent several minutes trying to catch a Mankey in yellow who gave me a seizure when using Leer. Except I forgot that leveling up is much more difficult in the old games, so it returned all those fond memories of putting Mankey up front then switching into Pikachu to finish the battle. Not to toot my own Rhyhorn, but whether it's stubbornness or determination, I made it through Viridian Forest without retreating back to Viridian City for healing, though I was worried my PP would be empty after all that hardening and string shots. Unfortunately, even with 40 minutes of training, Mankey still didn't have a freaking fighting move. Thankfully, almost right after reaching Pewter City, Mankey grew to level 9 and learned Low Kick, so I was all ready to defeat Brock's rock types. Well, turns out his underling uses the most famous rock types, Diglett and Sandshrew, making Pikachu completely worthless here. As a bonus, the little idiot got 3 crits and 4 attacks, which didn't even help him win. That brought me to Brock. Geodude was easy except for the fact that I missed my first Low Kick. Onix only really used Bide and Screech, so Nidoran growled it into submission. Then Mankey finished it off with 2 Low Kicks, securing the badge with a terrible team that only had 1 viable attack. In Crystal, I made it to Violet City after 36 minutes. Thankfully, unlike the remakes, there's no Force Sprout Tower here, so I was able to enter Falkner's gym with a Grass type and a Rock type. The battle started out great. Pidgey sucks and I set up Reflect. It fell pretty quickly, bringing up Pidgeotto. I kept using Razor Leaf hoping for a crit, which happened regularly against wild Pokemon and trainers. Of course, when it actually mattered, I never got one, so Pidgeotto took the win. No matter, Geodude's too much of a problem for birds. Unless they know Mud Slap and get a crit, which Pidgeotto does and did. Geodude's tackle wasn't going to do enough to take the KO, and its accuracy had been reduced twice. But luck was on my side, because not only did tackle connect, it was a crit. If not for Geodude, I definitely would have needed a rematch. Instead, Falkner's birds were cooked in less than 45 minutes. Quick, before I do anything, can you remember the name of the first gym leader in Kalos? Cause I sure couldn't. I'll give you a hint, Davis. And I don't mean the lead from Digimon Adventure 2, which is way better than any Pokemon season. Anyway, after traveling through Viridian Forest, Santo Luna Forest, and beating up a bunch of little kids with weak bug Pokemon, I reached Santaloon City in 27 minutes. And in 30 minutes, I'd strapped on some roller skates and entered the gym. While I did catch a few Pokemon, Fennekin was ready to wreck this bug-type gym. And wreck them he did. But when I reached the gym leader, Viola, who probably uses that camera to catch other gym leaders doing inappropriate things with Lopunny and Gardevoir, disaster struck. Her first Pokemon is Surskit. A Surskit who knows Water Sport and Bubble, making Fennekin's life much tougher. If not for a potion, don't worry, she used one first so it's okay, and some clutch from Fletchling, I would've lost. Luckily, Vivian kinda sucks and Fennekin secured the win. While I was a little premature in stopping the timer, it took just over 40 minutes to obtain the bug badge. As we make our way to the bottom of the list, which game do you think will be the quickest? Well, I can tell you it isn't Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. Of course, on the way to Brock you have to pass through Viridian Forest. In the process of catching wild Pokemon and battling trainers, Eevee reached level 10 and learned Double Kick, which would help me destroy all those rock types. Shortly after I reached Pewter City, Buttface gave me some potions and I entered the gym. In case you've forgotten, Let's Go doesn't allow you to challenge the first gym unless you have a grass or water type on your team. Thanks to the Bellsprout I caught in my first encounter, that clause was fulfilled. Quickly dispatching Brock's underlings, I challenged him right away, even though I was slightly underleveled. My strategy here consisted of using Double Hop until Eevee got KO'd, then I bring in Bellsprout for mop-up duty. Well, I never needed to use the Pokemon that destroyed Pikachu that one time in the Indigo lead because Onix's Rock Throw was useless. 3 Double Kick and 40 minutes later the Boulder Badge was in my possession. Unfortunately, because I chose Charmander as my starter in Red, the way you beat Brock is by brute force. There aren't many good choices early on for exploiting Brock's weaknesses, so a high-level Charmander is your best bet. Well, in my second battle against Gary, I was rocked by Pidgey's Sand Attack, leading to an untimely loss before winning the rematch. That gave me the super original idea no one's ever thought of before of catching a Pidgey and using Sand Attack against Brock. So I entered the Pewter Gym after 30 plus minutes, Charmander not yet a Charmeleon. The first trainer uses Diglett and Sandshrew, which aren't easy, but I still got the win. That meant Brock and his Geodude with abs on its head. He full healed turn 1 after I got a lucky burn, then defense curled while I chipped away at its health, eventually taking the KO with Charmander. That meant Onix versus my low level Pidgey. We'll call it luck or dumb luck, but he used Bide, allowing me to launch several Sand Attack. While Bide doesn't miss, meaning Charmander got knocked out when he became impatient, after several tackles for my weak Pokemon, the Boulder Badge was mine in less than 38 minutes. Sure, I probably could have won a lot faster if I'd chosen Bulbasaur or Squirtle, but that's part of the fun of Pokemon. 2 people can buy the same game and have completely different experiences. The penultimately fastest games to earn your badge are the GBA remakes of Red and Green. Because I chose Bulbasaur, I probably could have battled Brock right away since I'm so confident in my little dinosaur, skipping the optional Gary fight entirely. But for the fans, I challenged him, and it was almost a disaster. Pidgey got a crit, then Tackle missed. If not for Leech Seed, I would have lost. Afterwards, an old man didn't ask for my consent before showing me his Weedle. Viridian Forest, meanwhile, was extremely boring, filled with people using String Shot after getting hard, draining my PP in the process. The fact that Bulbasaur is part Poison type also removed any worries of that particular status condition. There's only one trainer in Brock's gym whose 2 Pokemon fell to 2 Vine Whip. Then for Brock's 2 Pokemon, it took a grand total of 2 Vine Whip to secure the Boulder Badge. Yeah, like I said, Bulbasaur is the best Kanto starter, and it's not even close. It shouldn't come as a surprise that winning your first badge takes the least amount of time in Gold and Silver. Falkner is just that weak. As for how it happened, I've always said Totodile is the worst starter. The damn thing didn't even learn its first water move until level 13, which happened literally right before facing Falkner. Like, what the Falkner, Game Freak? Anyway, because I was so much more over-leveled than the gym leader, it was far too easy to get the Zephyr badge in under 37 minutes. Had I been forced to go through an area filled with grass Pokemon, it would have been a challenge with my water type. Thankfully, it was a straight shot to the Bird Lover, who only has a level 7 Pidgey and a level 9 Pidgeotto. Depending on whether or not you count them, Ultra Sun and Moon are the Pokemon games that take the longest to obtain your first badge, coming in at over 2 hours. For a conventional entry, Scarlet and Violet are top of the list, needing just under 2 hours to get a badge. Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon also take an obscenely long time, with all the Sinnoh adventures hovering around an hour. The bottom of the list is riddled with games from Kanto and Johto, while X and Y is sandwiched in between. Did any of these results surprise you? Let everyone know in the comments.